Skyline is a science fiction action film in which Earth comes into contact with an alien race and over the course of 72 hours is treated like an intergalactic fast food restaurant where frontal lobes and a side order of spinal column are at the top of the menu. The plot in summary is as follows. Intergalactic anglerfish, for reasons never made known, descend upon the planet in the middle of the night and start scooping up the populace of Los Angeles and presumably that of the rest of the world. Victims are subject to illuminated enticement prior to having their faces burned off and brains sucked out. Yes, these aliens are here for brains, an antagonistical motive not really used in movies since the 1950s, but while I do love retro, Skyline takes itself way too seriously for it to be seen as anything other than daft. Putting aside the absurd alien penchant for cranial violation, the scenario of a superior and aggressive alien force arriving without warning and laying waste to human civilization should always make for a good popcorn-munching couple of hours. Alas, that's not what you get. Despite the filmmakers clearly wanting to focus on the morbidly compelling carnage and devastation, someone, somewhere along the line, told them there has to be an emotive human story amongst the wanton destruction. That, or budget simply meant they had no choice but to set the whole damn film in a single apartment. As such, the movie follows around your typical band of apocalypse survivors, and the guy off Scrubs, who dies. The main characters are a young couple of the just been knocked up and are unsure about the future variety, and saying that there is no chemistry between them at all is as supreme an understatement as you can possibly make. They spend most of the film whining at each other, and even during the final throes of the last reel, you're still wondering how the hell they got together in the first place, and why she let him close enough to be impregnated. My guess is Rohypnol was involved. He certainly looks the type. You don't actually generate any kind of attachment for any of the characters. The only time I ever found myself rooting for someone was when the Air Force arrived, and I found myself cheering on the plucky pilot of a stealth bomber. Yes, someone that is only in the movie for a couple of seconds and whom you never actually see is more endearing than any of the main cast, whose idiotic behavior you have to endure for the other hour and 40. For example, when your plan involves getting from your apartment to the marina quietly so as not to be detected, your high-powered sports car might not be the best choice of vehicle. Similarly, the apartment block's superintendent, the one I really thought was going to be that cool survive-anything with wit, wiles, and sarcasm character that always shows up in these doomsday films, he got put straight in the retard column when he spent an age waiting for a monster to climb up the side of a building so that he could make his dramatic sacrifice. In the time he was waiting, he could have escaped the apartment, legged it to the marina, built himself a boat, sailed to a tropical island, and got down to the task of repopulating the earth with the native girls. Had the film ended where it really should have, with the unlikable couple being dragged off the top of a building, I would have had greater respect for it. Man and woman embracing as they are drawn to their doom with the remains of the US Navy smouldering in the background would have been suitably symbolic of humanity getting its arse handed to it by E.T. and made a fine place to cut to the credits. But no, they keep going. The man ends up as an alien himself, but a good one, who charges off to rescue his beloved. Then the film ends with a bunch of stills featuring alien-on-alien fisticuffs, proving that the makers of this movie are part of the arrogant and expanding breed that immediately presume they're going to get funding for a sequel. I do miss films that had a start, a middle, and an end, because they had a story that someone had worked at, crafted, edited, honed to perfection. This assumption that there will be a continuation just leads to the same flabby, poorly written drivel that gets vomited onto celluloid these days with monotonous regularity. Essentially, Skyline is built upon two key images, the first being hundreds of people getting sucked up into giant spaceships, the second is the whole Mars needs brains thing. Had the film built upon this, kept its tongue firmly in cheek, and simply treated us to an eye-melting sequence of special effects, it would have been entertaining. It wouldn't have won any awards, but you wouldn't have left the theatre disappointed. But as they tried to go all human drama on us, it falls flat. I'd say wait for the DVD, but you really need the big screen to appreciate the explosions, so you'll be disappointed whatever you do. My advice is to ignore it altogether and go and watch Independence Day, which is just as dumb, but unlike Skyline, it knows it's dumb and simply sets out to entertain.